bro, bro, MMA fighters are trash, bro. Like when it comes to boxing, these guys are trash. They are like they don't know how to fight these MMA dudes. None of these guys know how to properly fight. And you know what's even worse is, these guys when they fight in MMA, they are considered the strikers. They get called, "Oh, these guys are the strikers." They're the guys that know how to box. For example, Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz, every time he would fight in the UFC, you would always hear, John Anek or, Daniel Cormier or, Joe Rogan talk about, Nate Diaz boxing. Nate Diaz boxing is he's a boxer, he's a striker, he's a boxer. And they pump it up, they pump it up so much, just like when Jorge Masvidal fights, and they always go, "Oh, he's a boxer." They always pump it up, like they let you know that he's a boxer, and when you hear that, you think, "Oh wow, this guy must be amazing." But then, you watch these guys fight a guy like Jake Paul, who is a mediocre fighter, and he dominates these guys, so it just goes to show you, when it comes to MMA fighters, I think they're really good for MMA, when it comes to MMA. But when it comes to boxing, these guys can't fight. Like, they're trash. They look terrible. They get beat up. They don't know. They have no upper body movement. They have no. So these guys have terrible, terrible defense. Like, they do not know how to fucking dodge a block, or dodge, block a punch to save their lives. They don't know how to do that. They're terrible when it comes to defense. And Jake Paul is making a mockery out of these MMA fighters. I mean, what is it? Ben Askren, Nate Diaz now. Who else this guy fought? Tyrone Woodley. He's just been making a mockery of these guys. These guys are now, they're past their primes, but even if they were in their primes, he would still kick their ass because these guys don't know how to properly fight. Now it makes sense. This is why you will never see, or why you always see Dana White being against fighters, MMA fighters versus boxers, because this is the outcome. They would just get their ass whooped. Because if a mediocre guy like Jake Paul could beat somebody, in a top MMA fighter like Nate Diaz, what do you think an elite fighter is gonna do? That's been training his whole life. It'll be a complete massacre. This is why you always see Dana White against the idea of a boxer versus a MMA fighter versus a boxer. This is why he was against Francis Ngannou facing Tyson Fury. Why he doesn't want to see that, because these guys can't fight. Like, they just can't fight. Anyway, congrats to Jake Paul, man. It was just hilarious watching that.